Okay, Dan?
I made a statement before the Ethics Commission yesterday that we have in this city a legislative and executive branch. We have no judicial branch because the city attorney is responsible for the legal actions of all 45 of the departments. Would you consider, or do you have a plan to make the city attorney have a segment that is sequestered and there for the purpose of acting as a judicial branch to our what should be a checks and balance system?
Well, as far as I understand it, there used to be a municipal court branch that really is the judiciary branch. I think that one of the advantages of having somebody that is fresh to the political scene, like myself, is that I don't come in with the same political baggage as other people, and as a result, I can be sure to depoliticize the office and be sure that it remains as immune from the political comings and goings of City Hall as possible.
The point being, right now, the city attorney's office is judge, jury, and executioner of much of the legal activity in the city government. And by doing so, the conflicts of intellectual and not financial interest, to me,
Are you suggesting a public interest section where they would
well, the
separate?
DA's office, as our previous speaker would say, has the Department of Public Policy. The city attorney does not. We have come forth with complaint after complaint after complaint, and no one to call on to help us with that. Yet we are a city agency. If the city attorney's office cannot provide that for us, and we have real difficulty in providing it from the private sector, the alternatives are clear, but I'm not going to state them.
We do get a lot of advice from city attorneys in terms of what we do as neighborhood councils. And in that sense, it's like, you know, they're the judge and they're the jury and they're the execution because they tell us, you can't print that. So that's our advice, blah, 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 and we won't defend you. But basically it comes down to, they're telling us what we can and what we can't do, coming up with a legal opinion, basically being the judge. And to be real blunt, I've seen a considerable number of fraction of city attorneys working out of the harbor area in terms of the harbor commission, in terms of recommending stuff. Neighborhood councils to see hopefully they do. I mean, we're talking about some really dumb stuff coming out of there. So I don't know what that has to do with something that the city attorney, but it was always a concern.
Well, I think that the person in charge should be able and willing to hold people accountable for the advice they give.
I asked one of the city attorneys who works with the whether the city attorney office has its own equivalent of internal affairs, somebody that could complain to about misconduct by a city attorney. And the answer is no, they don't. And it's basically
they have an internal affairs for the police, and they do nothing but support the police.
But I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the city attorney. Okay?
Perhaps it's an ombudsman kind of thing where there was someone who was really free of accountability to the city attorney as such. But
They don't have a complaint.
As long as they get paid.
that
Call
would be
it
the
whatever you
ombudsman.
want. You know, it's the public meeting.
Okay, any more questions?
I want to talk about the
Elliot.
part of the
Would you support an audit of your department if the city controller felt it's appropriate?
Well, I think that
The question was, would you support an audit of your department?
I think that whether or not the city controller has the ability to do that is obviously currently at issue right now, and I think it's a very good idea that we are going to be putting that to a vote by the voters. So,
George?
My question is this: it's my understanding, and I've been told this by the Attorney General's office, that their job is not to protect our interests. And I've had a friend of mine told by the present head of this office that his job is not to protect the rights of citizens, but to defend city agencies whether they break the law or not. So this is no dispersion on you, but if that's their job, how do we get protected when the whole system and its organization, and they say they're legality, even though I question the AG when you go to the state constitution, but they'll tell me to my face, our job is, and the city attorney has told my friend, our job is not to protect you, but to protect them, whether they're right, wrong, or different, we don't care.
Yeah.
So, I understand where you're coming from, but I'm talking about the mission of the office legally.
Right.
So that's my question is, legally, are they tossing us a line?
Yes.
Or do you have a way of modifying that so that you never take public interest? That's what I'm asking.
Right, well, I don't think the city attorney's office can necessarily be treated or run like a public interest law firm. I think our duty is to our client, which is the city of Los Angeles, but what I think that means in terms of my philosophy of running the office would be, look, you haul the city into court, we're going to fight like hell to defend the city. But there are things that our office can do short of going to court. You know, I think the mark of any good lawyer is to make sure your client stays out of court. And part of that means working with communities to head off problems before they force legal action.
Who in the city is responsible for protecting us?
Nobody.
What is the city?
There's no person.
What is the city?
Okay, we got a couple questions.
Corporation.
Gentlemen in the olive shirt.
It's a municipal corporation.
What is the city if we are not the city? You see, that this is the offense that I deal with on a regular basis. We are the city. We elect our representatives to go up there to city council. They're not our leaders. The mayor is supposedly our largest advocate, and you're supposed to work on that behalf. So how can you separate the idea of the city from the people who live in it?
Well, you know, it's unfortunately, like he was saying, I mean, our client is the municipal government, you know, but that doesn't mean that we can't work with communities to resolve problems.
What do they get paid? Who pays the municipal government if it isn't us?
Right.
Aren't we eventually, I mean legally, if you follow the chain of money,
Sure.
aren't we the actual bill payers?
Sure.
And so you totally negated all
Hold on, we don't want to have open dialogue here, we want to go to a couple of questions. Let's go to Jose and Ellie, we've got to wrap it up tonight at 4:06.
Okay. I don't know if you're aware of neighborhood councils, but basically Dunn was the arbiter, the last arbiter for anything having to do with the Brown Act, has been changed over to the city attorney. So I need to know, what will you enforce the Brown Act, which are just misdemeanors, as far as city council level? And that's my first question. Number two, what's your stance on Proposition 9?
I'm sorry, there's so much chatter going on that I'm having trouble hearing you. So,
Stance on
given,
Proposition
I think,
R.
given the time, why don't we just talk, because I have a feeling this is going to be a more involved discussion. So I'll be happy to stay after and talk with you on a one-on-one basis.
Okay, let's go to Ellie, and then
Anybody else
we're
wants
going
to?
to go to Len, and we're going to try to wrap this up with some housekeeping.
Okay, I've got a two-part very quickly. You said that the citizens of the city will be voting on whether or not the city controller it's up to the city. I'm not aware of anything, again, forgive my ignorance. And second question, are you saying then that, for example, if my landlord does not go with the rent control that I'm supposed to be under, and I go to whatever I'm supposed to go to in the departments of the city, that you're not on my side?
I think those are two different issues that we're talking about in terms of our obligation as an office to represent municipal entities versus making sure that landlords follow the regulations, the rent control regulations in place. So that would be the city would be responsible for making sure that the housing ordinances and the rent control acts are enforced.
Okay, so then it would go to your office?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the issue. Like with any area of the law, it really depends on the issue to see where our jurisdiction ends and where somebody else's begins.
Who's the someone else?
Let's go to Len for the final question, if we can. If you'd like to answer that, please
And
do.
is it up for vote?
From what I understand, the city council is planning on putting this issue on the ballot to clarify whether or not.
The November ballot?
You know, I'm not sure what their timetable is. It's
Okay,
going to
but
be
if it
November
were
or
on the
March.
ballot, how would you vote?
Well, I want to see I need to see what the measure would look like to be able to
Okay, let's
evaluate.
go to Len for the final question, then we got two items.
Your current boss to set aside a number of attorneys to advise neighborhood councils outside the purview of Dunn regulatory sustainment. Would you propose to continue that policy, or would you once again shift it back from Dunn?
I'd want to talk to the neighborhood councils and see how this is working, and if this new approach that we've initiated is working well, then continue it. But if it's not, then I want to hear and find out a way to make it work better.